Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Beyond the Dashboard, the Power of the Grid. My name is Andrea, and I am on the marketing team at Phocas. I also have Brian, one of our sales executives, joining me. Today, Brian and I are going to cover what the grid is in Phocas and why it's beneficial to your business. But most importantly, we'll let you see how it works for yourself. So let's get started. First, a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar is scheduled to last 25 minutes, excluding Q&A. We'll leave around 5 minutes for that, and if we aren't able to answer all of your questions, we will follow up in the next 48 hours via email. Questions can be submitted via the GoToWebinar questions screen at any time, and a recording of this presentation will be distributed approximately 72 hours after conclusion. So first and foremost, what is the grid? Well, if you've used Phocas before, one of the first views you come to is the dashboard. But the grid is actually the underlying data that feeds into the dashboards and reports that you see. What's amazing about the grid is that it's lightning fast. What we mean by that is the software works as quickly as you can think and lets you follow your train of thought. As you explore it by selecting different dimensions like sales rep, territory, product, or add measures like quantity, profit margin, or change the date range, Phocas allows you to slice and dice with instant results, all of which Brian will show you shortly. But also, the data is updated regularly, so this ensures the information in the grid remains up to date. And so, the grid does have quite a few benefits to you, the user, and also your business. It allows you to follow your train of thought and interrogate your data. So if you're in a meeting, for instance, and a stakeholder or customer asks a question, you can start looking for the answer right then and there. From this, if you find an insight, you can build a fast, customized report from the data you looked at to quickly share it with others. This level of examination and collaboration helps you see opportunities you might not have known existed in your business, whether it's why a particular product might be selling very well, or if the optimal time is to keep your customer service team on the phone to ensure happy customers. The other important factor is that with all of your data in one place and having all of your teams using the same tool, it means you're all looking at the same information, so it serves as a single source of truth. Let's say you do share a report as a result of a meeting. If another team member asks where the information came from, you can simply show them in Phocas. And because it is easy to look at your data, share what you found with others, and it's intuitive, this typically leads to high user adoption, which translates to fast ROI. You can see very quickly what your investment in Phocas is doing for your business. But we're big on insights here, and we know that seeing is believing, so Brian, I'll let you take it away and show us the power of the grid.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrea. All right. So I'm going to get started today. What we see here on my screen, we can see Phocas is a web-based application. So regardless of the device, whether it is a tablet, cell phone, laptop, or PC, Phocas is optimized to work with that device. Now, the dashboard we're looking at here, this was a basic dashboard to go from a blank slate to what we're looking at here. It took about 15 minutes to put together. I'm not a technical user, but Phocas is easy enough to use that anybody can come in here and create dashboards that they need for the business. Okay. Everything we're looking at is interactive. So if I selected Judy as a top performing sales rep and focus in, the whole dashboard updates with that selection. Now, from this information, I could jump in and just look by customer type. So Judy is a top performing sales rep, but I can see her manufacturing business is actually down year over year. So that's something worth exploring a little further. I'm going to go ahead and use the Analyze arrow. And what that does is open up a new tab for us. And it's going to open up the Phocas grid. First thing I want to highlight is the dimensions on the left-hand side. These are going to allow you to slice and dice the data you see fit. And it's also related to data points within your ERP. So it is customized to your business, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. Since I have customer type highlighted, that's how I'm viewing data within the grid. Now, I'm looking at everything here from a sales revenue. Right. So the measures I'm looking at is that local sales value. Viewing the data within a variance mode. So I'm seeing the data the current year versus the previous year and what the difference or variance is. Just like we saw on the dashboard, we saw manufacturing's down quite a bit year over year. So let's select that customer type and now drill into the customer ship-tos. This gives me information immediately about my manufacturing customers, and Phocas has it sorted in the grid from biggest declining customer all the way up to the biggest growing customer. We can go ahead and make selections within the grid to focus in on a certain customer base. So let's take these top 5. I can see very easily that these 5 customers alone account for almost $400,000 of lost business, and something that should be investigated a bit further. So within the grid, we make it very easy to not only gain insights, but also be able to share it with others. Something easy we can do to export this information, we could print this out, put it in a PDF or Excel file, or I can even email it right from Phocas. I can send a quick note to Judy. Why are these accounts declining? Please give an update. Hit send, and without leaving Phocas, I was able to share a screenshot of the Phocas grid with Judy. Okay, now anytime when you're in Phocas and you want to take away all those selections that you've done, we can hit reset. That's going to take away all those selections that we've made so far. And I'd like to just focus in how easy this is to use for any user in the organization. We hear a lot that sales reps are stuck in their ways, or they're not open to trying new technology or software. With Phocas, though, anybody can come in here and start seeing value. I'm going to go in as a sales rep today, and I'll be Jeremy Kelly. Jeremy could come into Phocas, see who his customers are. Here's a nice month-to-month view, and we call this our period mode. Again, it's easy to adjust this into a variance or a year-over-year view. Or I can look at it from a total perspective. So I can see Jeremy's accounts listed from largest down to smallest. And this is where we can pull in additional measures. I might want to see number of invoices by customer, CRM activity, or maybe just how profitable each customer is. As I make those selections and click off, we're getting results back instantaneously and really building out an ad hoc report. From here, it's easy to identify a customer with low margin. If we wanted to just look at Apogee products and see that their profitability is under 11%, we can start following our train of thought. What products are they buying that are leading it to be so not profitable? I can drill down into those customers, down to the individual item. We can clean up that view. Now I can see my top 3 items with Apogee products are all selling at a loss. Now they could be loss leaders, but Phocas makes it easy to identify those, focus in, and now I have a grouping of 9 products that are selling at negative margin. This is great information for me as Jeremy Kelly to have an opportunity to speak with Apogee products, understand why this is the case, and see what we can do to work together and gain margin. Another use case in the grid, as I reset my information, is being able to identify companion products or run a gap analysis to make sure each of my customers are buying the appropriate breakdown of products. I am looking at an electrical data set. So 2 items that typically go hand in hand would be fluorescents and ballasts. After I make those selections, I can use the matrix function in Phocas. And essentially what that does in the grid, it has an easy layout for those columns. So I can argue that between fluorescents and ballasts, I have about a 10% sales ratio. So for every $10 worth of fluorescents I sell, I should be selling about $1 worth of ballasts. Now, once we're in matrix mode, we can drill down to see all of my customers that have bought either fluorescents or ballasts. This is where the grid really shines. It breaks it down. I can see customers that are negative sales with ballast or that they've bought nothing at all. After scrolling down, there's quite a few of these customers. So just as easily, I could right-click in these columns, and I could say I want to see all my customers that have bought fluorescents but no ballasts. This is a report of low-hanging fruit for your salespeople. We could quickly identify companion-type products and see which customers might be cherry-picking, or at least give our sales reps the data and the power to go out there, have a conversation with these customers, and see if we can realize some revenue from this. Typically, what we hear from customers looking at Phocas is this is powerful information. We just cannot get to it easily within our ERP. So not only getting to this data is easy in Phocas, we could also share it out. We have something called favorites in Phocas, and I like to refer to favorites as kind of like bookmarks when you're surfing the web, right? So I can go in here and we'll just call this a quick beyond the dashboard favorite. Put any sort of description in here. Let's sell ballasts into these accounts. And scroll down even further. And I could share it with any of the sales reps I'd like to. After that, I hit save. And we have just created a custom report within Phocas. Now, the logic behind Phocas, when we push that out to multiple sales reps, we're going to make sure that it's assigned so that each sales rep is only going to have access and visibility into their set of accounts. So you can do a report like this with a large amount of information and then share it out once for all the relevant people to receive that. Some sales reps might even say, this is important data that I'd like to have automated and sent out to me regularly. I'm going to hit the Phocas icon here to take us back to our home page and see how a sales rep can go in here and do that type of function. This is the home page where I'll see any alerts that I've set up, databases I'm connected to, dashboards that I've created. And here's the favorite, beyond the dashboard. If I go in here and select this envelope icon, I can choose a type of delivery. Say I want this as a PDF every Monday at 8 a.m. Hit subscribe. I've now scheduled an automated report to be sent to me every Monday. Okay, so we've taken a look really at what Phocas looks like with sales in the grid. I'm going to jump in and do a quick run through of our inventory database. Now, one of the beauties about the grid in Phocas is the simple interface and layout. It doesn't matter the type of data that you're looking at, you're still navigating the same. So you have the dimensions on the left-hand side and the different ways to view the data up top. I'm going to drill into warehouse, and now I see by warehouse location the total stock on hand value. Okay, at any point, if we want to clean the view up, we could change this to a total mode. I could pull in additional measures such as maybe the actual quantity or number of units we have on hand. I could bring something like sales value in, right? So click off there. And again, I'm getting reports back immediately. If we wanted to take a look at just our biggest warehouse and see what the product breakdown looks like, we could drill into those individual products. Now, the fact that we've brought sales data over, we're now highlighting possible dead stock. So where we have zero sales value, I can look at the time period of how we're viewing data. And what we're seeing where there's a zero value, these are items with no sales history over the past 12 months. So we'll do the same setup where we can come in here, and I'm going to filter this down to only products in my top warehouse that have no sales history over the past year. Great information. We've just run a custom report. Now, let's say you present this in a meeting and somebody says, this is great for that one warehouse, but what about the whole company? Well, in Phocas and the grid, we do not have to backtrack to get that information. We could simply come down here, exit out that selection, and now I have my dead stock inventory for all warehouses. Now that we've gotten the report right where we want it, we could take a report like this and maybe add it to a dashboard. I could select the dashboard I want to view, and we're going to use this to the same one we started out with. All dead stock, 12 months. And I'm going to hit save and open. And this is going to take me back to the dashboard that we started out with. So here's everything we were looking at before. And as I scroll down, we can see I've added this report within that dashboard. So it's that simple to be able to add and customize a dashboard view. The last piece that I want to touch on is our financial reporting. So in Phocas, as you want to view different parts of your data, we can use this option up here and see the different dashboards, databases, favorites. For this, I'm going to jump into our financial statements, which is pulling from our general ledger database. Again, we have the same layout in Phocas for financials. The biggest difference that you're going to see here is when you're on the summary screen, we have it broken down like a typical P&L view. We have additional functionalities where you can expand and collapse. Right? A very common use case that we hear is for individuals to be able to see a side-by-side view of multiple locations and what their P&Ls look like. If I come down into this dimension and select multiple locations, in this case different countries, I could use that matrix button again and drill in to see that summary screen. And now what we've done is create a side-by-side view for multiple locations. The grid allows you to see this data very easily. But we can also export into Excel right from here. And then in the grid, to be able to, again, let's reset all of our selections. And if we wanted to drill into these dimensions and look at certain accounts, let's say marketing we want to look at and where our spend is year over year, we could drill down to see the individual GL accounts that are making up that marketing spend. We could change the view to see where it is year over year. And what this shows, this would be pretty alarming, right? We're up almost 82% in spend in marketing alone. That's a red flag. People should see this, right? But the idea of Phocas is we're not limited to just working with the data that lives in your ERP. We're able to pull in disparate data sources to view your data the way you want it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into a different mode and bring in a different stream of data. This is going to be a budget stream, which typically is held just in a standard Excel file. When I pull in that variance stream, it's going to be called my budget. So now I'm seeing my marketing spend this year versus what we've budgeted for. Now, this shows us we are still over budget in marketing, but it's not nearly what that 80% looks like. We're about 2.5% over budget on this. So again, this would be great information to either save as a favorite and share it with the marketing director or whoever's in charge of the marketing. Maybe add it to a dashboard. We could sort it out to just zero in on those 4 categories. And again, we're giving you the opportunity to view the data the way you see fit. And the Phocas grid is the perfect way for anyone in the organization to get the most out of your data. All right. So that's it for the demo. We're going to open it up for questions.
Thanks, Brian. As you've been showing us the grid, a few have come in, so let's take a look at a few. First one, I have data in my CRM. Can that be brought into this too?
Yes. So Phocas allows you to bring in multiple data sources. So a lot of companies like Phocas are going to give you your ERP data in a structured format. Phocas goes beyond that, where it's very common for people to bring their CRM data, Excel files that they use for reporting, software packages, telephone systems, and be able to fill all that data within Phocas. What that allows you to do is not limit yourself to just ERP data, but use the data that's living throughout the whole organization.
Great. Next question. I need to share these reports with a lot of different teams, but it's really time-consuming right now. Is there an easy way to do this in Phocas?
Yes. So what you can do in Phocas, not only is it easy enough where people can answer their own questions, but if you are the main user of Phocas that is still in charge of creating and customizing reports, you can easily create those. And as I showed, you could share it as a favorite. You could add it to a person's dashboard themselves. And that way, you're able to share that information and allow people to answer their own questions.
Great. Next one. Not everyone in my business is going to be using Phocas to this extent. If these teams aren't creating reports or working with the data, can they still look at the information?
Yes, so Phocas has 2 types of licenses. One is that main primary user, right? So they're going to be able to use Phocas for anything that the administrator allows them to. What we see very common, let's say for salespeople, is they only want users to be seeing a limited amount of data, or they're just not going to be in Phocas a lot. So we have viewer users, and those users are able to see any dashboards or favorites that are shared with them. And there's no limit to the number of dashboards and favorites that can be shared with them. So that's a good cost-effective option for people to get introduced to Phocas.
Great. And it looks like we're running out of time, so we'll have just one more. And then just as a reminder, the answers to these questions will be sent in our follow-up materials, as well as any questions that weren't able to be answered, we will respond to you directly via email. So the last question, Brian, you said the data was updated frequently. What does that mean? How often is that?
Sure. So out of the box, and once our partnership begins, it's standard for us to do overnight rebuilds. We do, again, give you the flexibility. If you want it to be refreshed on an hourly or maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the course of the day, it's easy to set those standards up within your Phocas environment. So, yes, so we will always do an overnight rebuild, but give you the options to update more frequently.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of our webinar. Thank you to everyone who joined. You may now disconnect and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.